Hello, and welcome to From Tinkerers to Software Archivists, examining the edges of World of Warcraft private servers. My name is Geoffrey Hill. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Melbourne and head of games for SAE Institute. So, breaking news. Cutting-edge research just in. The unexamined, unresearched video game World of Warcraft is kind of big. I know, you probably haven't heard of it. I'm surprised too. But we're not here to talk about the official game. Instead, we're going to examine the black market, underbelly, shady depths of the dark web version of World of Warcraft, private servers. These are also big, the kind of big that create whole business units and drive significant product growth in billion-dollar software publishers. But private servers are not just a bunch of pirates who want to play the game without paying a subscription fee. Don't get me wrong, they're there too, but there are plenty of reasons for playing and building private servers of an online service game, such as an MMO. And as part of that, there are plenty of interesting development and software archaeology practices associated with these. So let's take a step back for a moment for those not familiar. Private servers are fan-hosted versions of server-based video games. Unofficial servers that fall outside of the end-user license agreement of the game's owners. Private servers are definitely not new. They've been around almost as long as online multiplayer games. Really a form of emulation. They're a particularly difficult type of emulation to develop though, as the developers of private servers only have half the puzzle. MMOs or online service games require the functionality of a game client and the game server. The client is easy enough to get, it's on the local computer. But the server is not available to the developer. It's hidden inside another network. So private server developers, they have to develop based on observation of the client, its communication with the server, and historical observations of behavior. And they're big, like really big. Trinity Core, probably the most popular WoW server infrastructure project, is made up of over 2,000 C++ files and 10,000 SQL files. The project itself has over 38,000 commits over the course of 12 years. And Trinity Core is built on top of Mangos, a core that came before it, which started back in 2005, which, for those keeping track, was the year that World of Warcraft was released. So let's have a look at 3 specific servers we've come across so far. First, in Australia, a now shut down traditional World of Warcraft vanilla server hosted for a specifically regional audience. The second, Ascension WoW, a private server that takes the base game and extends it much further. And finally, Project Alpha, a preservation project for the unreleased Friends and Family alpha version of World of Warcraft. Each of these servers tell us something about the activities around private servers, what they're looking to achieve, and what players are seeking to participate in. So, in Australia, a now shut down Oceania-focused Blizz-like World of Warcraft vanilla server. So this server focused on replicating the original released version of World of Warcraft for a specific community of players in the Oceanic region. This server was hosted locally for Oceanic players to offer a better player experience. Specifically, its local Australian hosting provided a means to reduce latency between the server and the player's client, often a big issue with Oceanic players connecting to US or European hosted servers. And then secondly, it ensures the player active server hours align for the players. That is, not playing when everyone else is asleep on the server, like is the case for US or European servers. It shut down shortly following the launch of World of Warcraft Classic, declaring that it had served its purpose. So these private server hosts were seeking to make playable the vanilla version of World of Warcraft, as released in 2005 and throughout its original year and a bit life cycle, before the expansion The Burning Crusade changed the game's world. These expansions did things like raise the level cap, introduce new zones, dungeons, raids, and overhauled many of the game's systems, or even just plain removed original versions of quests and zones, especially the vanilla ones. With a significant portion of the player focused on these vanilla experience, this was a big change for the players. And prior to the release of World of Warcraft Classic, the official vanilla version, vanilla private servers were the only way to play this version of the game. Unlike a traditional video game, you can't just pop in the cartridge or disc and play the game as it was the day it was released anytime you want. This essentially presents one of the key drivers for World of Warcraft private server space, players, and hosts, to provide a mean for the game as it was. A side benefit being the lack of subscription fee, but without the game being playable at all, regardless of subscription, makes it a moot point during the existence of Australia. The second case study, Ascension WoW. A complete rewrite of player systems that takes World of Warcraft assets and gameplay system and repurposes them with new and modified system. Closer to a total conversion or mod for a traditional game, combined with an emulated server core. This server extends the World of Warcraft game client with a custom launcher that allows the developers to update and customize the game content. It's based on a modified version of the 2008 Wrath of the Lich King expansion. The Ascension server and client adds new content from later game expansions, specifically models, materials, and animations to expand their gameplay system. This private server engages with significant custom game design, including things like card-based skills and randomization, hardcore or no-death style gameplay, achievements, player-defined customization, and seasonal game design. They're applying modern game design to a 17-year-old game in parallel with the official World of Warcraft. The technical development, design, and application necessary for a game at this scale, with hundreds to thousands of players simultaneously playing, is similar to that of a continued development of a commercial MMO game. They have taken the assets and base systems of World of Warcraft and modified and built on top of them to create a game that achieves much of the aesthetic and mechanics of World of Warcraft, but with a differing set of modern gameplay dynamics. The final case study is the Alpha Project. This server is, and its continued development are, dedicated to the preservation of pre-release versions of World of Warcraft, including the early Friends and Family Alpha version 0.5.3. This version of the game was never released publicly and included many iterations of early game systems, graphics, user interfaces, and zones before they changed on release. World of Warcraft is based on the Warcraft 3 engine and assets. This early version of the game is one of the best references to demonstrate that, as many of the systems and assets are directly from there. Though not publicly available, the 0.53 client was available to friends and family for that alpha testing. Pre-release version was often seen in previews and in the gaming press. So the digital archaeology of developing almost all of this private service systems, many of which never made it into release or were heavily modified when they did, include searching through video footage and still screenshots of the game from gaming press and other locations at the time. The project hosts a repository of this reference material, seeking support from the community to find and catalog this material. So where to from here? These three servers are just a small sample of the kinds of activities in private servers. We've found over 800 private World of Warcraft servers so far. Some are mysterious and some are notorious. Our next steps are building a classification of WoW servers that can tell us about the activities of private server developers as a group. What are the properties of each server and how can we broadly use those to create a classification of private servers? We're going to continue to look more deeply into the development and software archaeology practices. And how do we more broadly apply those to other MMOs and other games? And what are the possible contributions to software preservation more broadly? There are a lot of modern video games that are server-based. These games are taken offline and are never playable again. I think private servers are going to help us understand what preservation of these games might look like beyond just screenshots and videos. Thank you very much.